Hello YouTube, you're watching Drone Dude, and today we're going to be discussing the ongoing debate of Phantom versus Inspire, which is better for the money. So the reason for this video, I wasn't initially going to put out a video comparison type video, but I've had many questions asking which should I get, the DJI Phantom 3 or the DJI Inspire. And so I plan to kind of try to answer that question in the best way I can today, and hope you all enjoy it. Let's get started. Okay, so discussing price point, I'm sure all of you who are asking this question already know. The DJI Inspire 1 is priced at $2,900 with a single remote and one battery. And the Phantom 3 professional version is priced at $1,259. So as you know, that is a massive price difference in between the Inspire 1 and the Phantom 3 professional version. However, I'm going to explain to you what separates this, a professional camera platform, from this, a amateur professional camera platform. Now, the Inspire 1 is a much higher build quality than the Phantom. What you get when you order this is not only functionality, but build quality, the carbon fiber arms, the higher quality and more powerful motors are integrated into this bigger model. It is a bigger model, but you also get features like the gear raising out of the way of the camera and things like this. And I'll give you a better demonstration a little bit further on why that is a big difference between this model. Now, as you can see, the Phantom Professional Phantom 3 Professional is a plastic body, and it's a high quality plastic. It's very hard, very tough, but it's not quite the same just quality in general. So as you can see here, this design, it's a nice compact design. It looks really nice, but it's not particularly creative looking, I guess. It is more, I hate to say this, but it looks more like a toy. It's kind of what most people think of when they think of a drone or a quadcopter. The Phantom has kind of defined what that looks like. Obviously, any multi-rotor looks like this. However, the stripes and everything on the Phantom are essential to DJI's persona of the Phantom 3 and the previous Phantoms. And now with the Inspire, as you can see, it is a very new design, never really been engineered onto a multi-rotor before. So they were, I guess, taking a sort of a risk with this new different design, but I think they pulled it off very well. The Inspire is striking to look at, not only on the ground but also in the air. It has a very cool presence in the air, and it really looks special. So although both of these models are nice to look at, especially the Inspire, that's not what we're concerned with today. That's just something you might want to think about. However, what's important is performance and specifications, and probably the most important of those is the camera. Now we'll get to that in just a few moments. But I'm going to start talking about portability. Obviously, the Phantom has a much smaller form factor. It is a lot smaller than the Inspire, and that is good for many things. It's going to be easier to fly indoors, and then you can also get the optional prop guards for the Phantom, and that is perfect for flying indoors. And then the Phantom also has the vision positioning system that the Inspire has, so to keep it nice and steady. Now, not only do you have the not only is flying a small quadcopter good for flying indoors, but it's also good for transportation. This is something you can take the props off of and stick in a duffel bag really quick. And this takes a little bit more planning to get stored or find a way to transport, especially on a hike. I happen to have a backpack that works very well for strapping this and this model on. However, there are also external companies making high quality cases for the Inspire, but it's a lot easier to carry this thing around. Now that being said, when I'm flying these things outdoors, I have the same bubble around them is what I like to call it. They both take up space in the air, and so I like to have a bubble kind of safety around my drones when I'm flying. And I found that it's not that much different between the Inspire and the Phantom. Now I could see where it is a big difference when you're flying indoors, but the Phantom and the Inspire, I like to have a good amount of safety room between me and any object that I'm filming near. So let's get on to what really separates these two models, and that is the camera. The capabilities of the Inspire's camera blow the Phantom 3's camera away. The Phantom 3, you are able to pan the camera upward and downward, and that's about it. With the Inspire, you're able to take the camera, spin it all the way around, pan down, even yaw the camera. These precise movements are what allows the Inspire to be in a different league than the Phantom. And what these movements are accomplished through a second remote controller. And this remote controller, I actually have it right here. It's exactly the same as the controller that's included for the main flight purposes of the Inspire. However, this remote controller controls the camera movement. And so I can control this camera and point it wherever I want, at whatever rate of speed I want, and having this remote is as precise as flying the Inspire itself. So having an extra camera operator is the defining difference between this and this. Now, what I found with these new models, the Inspire and the Phantom, is they're not very good at getting good pans. And by panning, I mean doing a horizontal rotation. And what I've found with these new models is that they're kind of choppy. They don't like to stay steady, even if I keep the stick right on the money. So having the second remote, or even using your iPad to pan the camera on the Inspire, makes a huge difference when you are moving the camera and getting a panoramic shot, whether it be close to the ground or high up. I tried doing that with the Phantom, and it's just hard to keep the rate of turn constant. And I believe the reason for that is because of the angled motors. Both of these have slightly angled motors, and this actually prevents the draft from the props from catching on the props while the quadcopter descends. And actually they had an issue with the previous Phantom 2 Vision Plus where it would begin to descend and the prop wash would actually get sucked up into the props and the Phantom would lose lift. So one thing they did was angle the motors. Not only does this make the device more stable, but it also eliminates this issue because it directs the flow of air underneath rather than directly below the blades. Now, that means that you can have a much higher descent rate with this model and even faster descent rate with the Inspire. So from a physical flight performance standpoint, that is also where the Inspire takes the lead. The Inspire has the ability to raise its gear, as many of you know, and this allows the Inspire to be much more stable than the Phantom. Don't get me wrong, they're both remarkably stable, but think of it like this. If you have a weight in your hand right next to your face or just below, it's going to be a lot harder to hold in your hands. Now, if you drop that weight and just let your arms kind of relax and have the weight down, then it's going to be easier to hold and more stable. And so that's what the gear raising accomplishes on the Inspire, not only getting the gear out of the way of the camera, but also making a more stable platform. So that being said, the Phantom with the Vision Positioning System is a world more stable than the previous Phantom 2 Vision Plus. With these two models, I found that this thing is a much more has much more performance in terms of climb rate, descent rate, and speed than the Phantom, and that means you can be able to fly this thing in higher winds. I've heard reports of people flying this thing in 30-mile-an-hour winds just fine, and actually DJI doesn't recommend flying it in that high of winds, but this thing on a calm day, if you push the stick all the way over, will go 47 miles an hour in a straight line. Now this will get around 30 from what I've seen so far. I haven't done extensive testing, obviously, because I haven't had it for very long. But that means you're going to be able to withstand so much more wind, and then that's also good for getting longer distances out of your flight and your battery. These both have a very long range of 2 kilometers. The Phantom 3 has a longer flight time than the Inspire. The Phantom 3 has a 23-minute battery lifetime with the standard battery, and with the TB48 battery that I'm using in the Inspire, you will get a 20-minute battery life. So whether that extra 15 or 20 miles an hour will get you a longer range, I don't know. I'm not really concerned with getting long ranges because I don't film doing long range shots a lot. I usually get closer up shots of whatever subject matter I'm filming. But 1.2 kilometers is about 1.3 miles. Now, I've heard reports of people getting longer ranges than that with the stock setup with the Phantom, with the Inspire. And obviously I haven't heard much about the Phantom yet, but you're going to get a spectacular range with either one of these models. A few more small things to be said about the Inspire over the Phantom. You get better orientation lights with the Inspire. It's actually pretty neat. The red are on the front and the green are on the back, and because they're facing outward, it's actually easier to see the orientation at night. You won't get mixed up between the front and the back. And you can get mixed up with the Phantom, not for any major reason, just if you lose focus and you forget what's red and what's green is front and back, then that might confuse you because all 4 lights are facing at the bottom at all times. So let's go ahead and discuss remote controllers real quick. This is the Inspire remote controller, and it actually is a little bit heavier than the Phantom's remote controller, and it has a metal plate over the top. It feels a little bit nicer in the hands, and it feels a lot more quality, and there's no play in the mounts at all. Everything's good, and then you also get all of the ports that you could ever need for this model. You get an HDMI, a micro USB, a CAN bus port for what DJI says future use, and of course the USB that most people will use for their iPad or their Android device. Now we have the Phantom remote right here, and as you can see it looks very similar, and at first glance there's no difference whatsoever. However, you can see this has a white plastic top rather than metal. And then you don't get the gear switch with this remote, and you do not have the CAN bus port or the HDMI port. So you have less options with what you can do with this model in terms of FPV. So guys, to sum it all up, it really is your usage that determines which model that you would like to get. The Inspire will be more for professional video. You'll have the smooth camera and better performance than the Phantom, and higher quality materials, and everything about it is just a little bit nicer. And then you have the Phantom, which is great for something that you want to start out taking video with. As usual, I don't recommend you start out with either of these models. Get yourself something small to learn on. But these models are both very easy to fly in terms of quadcopters and multi-rotors go. With the Phantom, you're not going to have as professional camera work, and that's expected. It's less than half the cost. You're not going to have as much smooth pans that you'll have with the Inspire, and getting the gear out of the way makes a huge difference when making those pan shots. I will give the Phantom, it's a lot more portable than the Inspire, and that is a compromise that you'll have to make. But if you are looking at doing business work, filming for somebody, filming movies or whatever you like, whether it be commercially or non-commercially, that would determine which one of these you would get. And for business and everything, I recommend the Inspire. And for fun video, and you still get fantastic video. I mean, don't get me wrong, both of these cameras do an amazing job. They both shoot in 4K. With the Phantom, you'll get all of that amazing video, but you won't quite have the quality and performance that you'll get out of the Inspire. So that's my comparison video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. And also, guys, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is LewisFlies, LEWISFLYS, one word. And then thanks guys for watching, and I will see you guys later.